You are spiritually protected. We've all heard the phrase, maybe from a pulpit, a spiritual book, or a tarot reader. The phrase is well-meaning. It sounds nice. It should sound comforting, but it's vague. There's nothing to hold on to. If you're standing in the middle of a high-conflict family gathering, dealing with rigid dogma, or getting projected on by people who want to control you, spiritual protection can feel completely abstract, like a polite way of telling you to just cross your fingers and hope for the best. And if you don't understand the mechanics behind it, you can try to rely on that invisible shield, walk right back into the fire, and get burned anyway. Today, we're changing the definitions. We're looking at why spiritual protection isn't a magical force field handed down from the outside. It is a biophysical reality. It is a matter of speed, structure, and conductivity. To understand how protection actually works, we have to look at what human perception is designed to do. Every human is born with a high-resolution biological energetic tracking system. Children are hyper-aware. They read rooms instantly, feel shifts in tone, and pick up on the actual ambient reality of their environment without a filter. Anthropologically and historically, humans spent tens of thousands of years operating on wide, multi-generational time horizons. They mapped the stars over vast spans of time, tracked ecological cycles, and lived in flexible networks where flow and freedom of movement were standard. Then the shift came: centralized agriculture and state control. When we moved away from diverse foraging toward focused agricultural investment into raising cereal grains like wheat, barley, and rice, we shifted our focus from flow to form. Grain is visible, centralized, and measurable. It ripens at a specific time and can be harvested, stockpiled, and taxed. Grain became the ultimate currency for rulers because it allowed them to anchor populations down, build city walls, and enforce compliance. Once you have a fixed food surplus that can be locked in a storehouse, you need administrators, borders, laws, military defense to guard it. The mindset shifted from multi-generational ecological harmony to immediate-term institutional survival. How do we control the labor force? How do we secure next season's tax yield? How do we suppress outsiders? To keep a civilian compliant, centralized systems had to narrow our focus. They replaced wide-angle, nuanced pattern recognition with rigid, prepackaged scripts, dogma, tribal rules, and immediate short-term survival compliance. Dogmatic systems, political rigidity, and modern tribalism are direct descendants of that ancient, state-controlled machinery. They rely on small time horizons, immediate threat, immediate compliance, because open, unmasked, sovereign human connection is the one thing a control structure cannot metabolize. This is why, when an individual naturally retains or recovers that high-resolution awareness as an adult, friction is inevitable. When you walk into a room and read the actual room instead of playing their script, the rigid, control-based system experiences you as a threat. They don't know what to do with a clean mirror, so they panic, project, or try to shrink you back down to their size. When people live in a chronic survival mode or lack mentality, their physical bodies brace. That constant bracing creates dense tension and stagnation in the fascia, the semi-conducting liquid crystal web that wraps around our muscles and organs. Think of blocked fascia as static or a thick muffler on your nervous system. People trapped in control mindsets rely on hypervigilance. They run rapid tactical predictions based on past trauma and social hierarchy. If I say this, they will react like that. It may feel like a quick calculation if you are used to living inside that format, but it's actually a slow, linear brain awareness loop. They are burning time and energy calculating a response. When you do the inner work, grounding truth, clearing your bracing, doing breath work, using sound waves, or using physical movements like dance that utilize the pelvis, you release that physical tension and your fascia clears up. Your body stops acting like a brittle cage and starts acting like a superconductive antenna. When your antenna is clear, you stop having to try to figure people out. Think of a field not as invisible magic, but as ambient information. Every human being is a biological system running on energy. When people talk about politics, religion, or tribal behaviors with tight jaws and rehearsed dogmatic talking points, they aren't just making sounds with their mouth. They are generating an invisible, energetic weather system in that room. That weather system is a field, and it carries tension, fear, scarcity, and a demand for compliance. When you are living in survival mode, your body absorbed that weather system like a sponge. That's why spending time with some people can feel like running a marathon through wet concrete. You are soaking up everyone else's static. Your nervous system didn't evolve to read words. It evolved to survive environments. Long before your conscious mind can look at someone and say, they're projecting their insecurity onto me, your physical vessel has already mapped it. Your heart rate shifts and your fascial fibers microcontract to brace against the incoming pressure. For a long time, because your antenna was overloaded with fear, that precognitive hit felt terrifying. It felt like an attack because your body was bracing for impact. But when you clear your fascia, the mechanics flip entirely. Your body stops acting like a brittle shield and starts acting like a clear tuning fork. Instead of absorbing the room's weather, you simply register it. Your clear fascia takes the information straight out of the air, sending biophotons through its network to convey that information exactly where it needs to go without even altering your analytical brain. You can find yourself doing the motions and saying the words while your brain watches thinking, oh, wow, what are we up to? This is brilliant. Let me watch this unfold. Imagine walking into a room where someone is trying to play a manipulative game or project a rigid script. Your nervous system registers their hidden agenda at the speed of light, milliseconds before they even finish their sentence. Because you aren't bracing or panicking, your body doesn't waste energy getting defensive. Your physical response is immediate, neutral, and clean. You meet their gaze or ask an honest question not because you spent 10 minutes strategizing a comeback, but because your body's operating system is running faster than their linear brain. You are operating at the speed of reception from the living field of consciousness, while control-based pattern predictors are stuck trying to run slow, clunky mental calculations. You are simply moving too fast for their system to catch. This is why traditional advice about protection fails beginners. Socially, we are taught to look outside of ourselves for protection, meaning that without explanation, we don't know how to understand the phrase. Protection is your coherent body operating at a higher speed gradient of awareness and consciousness. You don't need to guess if you are protected by waiting for an external sign. You can gauge your own progress by looking at your physical reality. How much are you operating beyond the reactive loops and repeated thought patterns of the people around you? Are you still absorbing their static, or is their projection bouncing off your field like a clean mirror? Are you getting dragged into messes, or are you able to hold a neutral, curious space and steer the room without breaking a sweat? None of those questions are asked to judge yourself as failing. They serve as a readout to tell you how far you can engage currently before you feel adverse effects impacting your body. If you find you are still below the threshold of things bouncing off of you, you can project yourself with physical distance as you continue your journey. The shift doesn't last forever. As you clear your fascia and reclaim your natural baseline, your experience becomes your readout. You stop rushing into chaotic dynamics because you can see them coming 3 steps away. If you are standing on the edge of leaving your old life, your old paradigm, or your old relationships right now, your biggest fear is probably, if I stop playing their game, how do I survive? I don't know how to fight them. The good news is you don't have to fight them. Fighting requires you to get down in the mud and match their frequency. But when your antenna is clear, you realize you don't need to fight a shadow. You just need to turn on the light. When you move at the speed of real-time awareness, you become entirely ungovernable by systems that rely on slow, clunky fear loops. You aren't protecting yourself by building a taller wall or a bigger brain that can crush them with facts. You are protecting yourself by becoming a fast, body-wide, superconductive system. You become too clear, too real for their old matrix to touch. Being spiritually protected doesn't mean nothing difficult will ever stand in the room or sit at your dinner table. It means your biophotons are flowing through your fascia at the speed of light, carrying the data of higher consciousness. That frequency is infinitely faster than the linear mind's operating system, which is constantly wasting energy sending out emergency under attack signals. When your fascia is blocked, you cannot experience that clarity of awareness. But when you clear it, your body conducts reality instead of absorbing trauma. When you stop playing their closed-loop prediction games and start moving at the speed of authentic flow, the old control paradigms simply cannot dominate something it cannot comprehend. So now that you know being spiritually protected isn't a mystical abstraction, it's a biophysical reality, you might walk away from this realizing you can finally talk about your lived experience with actual scientific precision. Or you might realize that you still have some fascial bracing to clear before you feel that speed and sovereignty in your bones. Either way, you don't have to figure it all out today. If you want to dive deeper into specific methods for clearing the physical channel, I've linked some of my other episodes below. Whether you're doing this inner work to reclaim your sovereignty, or just looking for scientifically grounded ways to articulate what you've always sensed, you have the tools. Spiritual growth can feel intimidating when it's wrapped in vague metaphors, but my favorite thing to do is connect the dots across traditions, history, and biophysics to turn abstract concepts into something you can actually hold on to. If you want to keep mapping out the architecture of sovereignty with me, I'd love to have you along for the adventure. I'll see you around.